Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of AfterBuzz TV. This is Survivor Season 32, Episode 7. It's called It's Merge Time. We're so excited to have you guys here tonight. You're in for a great time.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Hey everybody, we're back. I'm back this week. We're here for Survivor 32, Season 32, Episode 7.
Yeah.
This is 7. This is It's Merge Time, which, I mean, the title says it all. It's Merge Time. Everybody made it to the merge, so we're excited to talk about it. I'm your host. I'm Paige Bonanno. You guys can follow me on Twitter and Instagram, all over social media at Paige Bonanno, and I'm joined today by my co-host.
Thank you, Paige. Hello, good evening, AfterBuzzers. My name is Jaco. You guys can join me all over social media at Jaco. Also, if you love wine, follow me at Grape Escape TV. Also, want to say hi to our live chatters tonight: Joseph, Eric, Andrew, Gizla, Anderson, Sheena, and Steven. Welcome.
You guys are the best. You're here all the time, like weighing in, telling us your opinions, and we super appreciate it. So I'm just gonna start off by saying I'm a little bit disappointed by this episode.
Yeah, it takes two of us. Yeah.
It just wasn't like everything that I was hoping it would be, everything that I was expecting it would be. It was just not what I wanted.
Not what I wanted. I think it's not what a lot of people wanted.
Right.
But
I mean, there was no tribal.
Once again, Paige, it's a twist that you didn't expect.
It's a twist that I didn't expect.
So thank you, Jeff, for that.
But not a twist
that you would have wanted.
I didn't want it, and it just gets. You know, it just gets crazier every week, and it just makes it, I'm just mad about it. But anyways, we'll dive in. We'll get to that later. We'll start from the beginning, like always. So we get back to, the camp after tribal last week. We see that Peter went home, and there's kind of a little riffraff going on about what happened, what the original plan was, who they originally wanted to vote out. We see that, at tribal, they said, okay, at the end, let's go with the original plan. And then Joe is saying today, I'm just very confused by this. What happened?
Well, that makes two of us.
Right. Yeah. I don't know how many times you and I stopped the episode and we're like, let's discuss what's going on.
Yeah.
So basically, Scott is mad at Joe. And Joe is just saying, hey, dude, I'm sorry. I was just confused. I didn't know what was going on. And Scott's like, no, you knew what was going on and you didn't try to help us. I mean, what did you think with that little interaction there?
Oh, I mean, that interaction was a little bit weird for me, seeing that Scott was very butthurt. And I don't really know why. The point still is that the person went home, they wanted to go home. And the fact that Joe didn't write that physical name that he wanted to write on the paper, he's now upset about, which I don't really understand. I don't get it.
So it was Joe and Peter, obviously, that voted for Julia.
Yes.
And Aubrey had written Julia's name down and then crossed it off.
And then still Scott was, saying to Aubrey, well, you also voted for Julia. For Julia. Like, you should have. He's like, but no, but I crossed it off.
And he's like, you still wrote it.
Exactly.
But I mean, she did change it. And Scott's kind of saying, these people, they can't make decisions. I can't trust them. I can't go with them. But like, that's what you get when you keep going back and forth and back and forth.
And that's what Joe said in the last episode. People that change their mind at the end before the vote, that's when trouble starts.
Right.
But luckily for all of us and for you guys at home, we don't have to worry about this that much.
Exactly. Because now it's the merge. We're in different territory now, completely different. Aubrey was saying before, this is the end for the brains, and then all of a sudden, the merge happens. So
exactly.
So that's what goes on, and now it's the merge, and everybody's super pumped that the merge is here. They're happy that they made it, and I can't believe what's going on. I mean,
I can't believe what's going on.
I can't. But before we get into that, that was the Gondal tribe a little bit, and then we get into Chan Lo, and basically like Sydney is going on about how she sees this idol in Neil's pocket. She said there's a little bulge in his left pocket.
You know where we should have put it though, right?
What? Wait, where he should have put it?
Yeah, the idol.
Exactly. Come on. Then they wouldn't even be able to tell.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody has a bulge, or at least the guys. Like, use your manhood.
Oh, and we heard a lot of some comments by Jeff tonight during the.
It's a very ballsy episode.
Right, it was a very ballsy episode. That's what it should have been called.
Yeah.
But so what I'm wondering is why doesn't Neil, in other seasons, people just like leave the immunity idol in their bag. Why does Neil feel like he needs to carry it around at all times?
I think it might have been that he just found it. Do you think that's a possibility? Because he found it in the last episode.
Oh, so they just showed it right now as if it was just
maybe.
Okay.
I don't think I would carry it around because you can't steal it. They know you can't steal an idol.
Right,
it's in
exactly.
the rules. So that'd be stupid if you did.
Yeah. So anyway, so Jason's, so Sydney and Jason see it. Sydney mentions it to Jason. And then Jason's like, you know what? I know what it looks like because I have a matching idol. And basically saying that he needs to wait for the perfect time to, kind of use this against Neil. And that basically he holds all the power. So, all hail to Jason. Right?
All hail Jason, exactly. But they also start talking right there again. Okay, I see I see that he has an idol. Mm-hmm. What are we going to do to flush it out? So they already start talking about that. They've got this game plan going on. And that's also a theme throughout the whole episode, talking about how they're going to flush out Debbie versus, Neil and that.
I wonder what's going to happen with the idols as we move forward now.
Well, at this point, it's only Ty and then Jason that has one.
Sure. Okay. And Scott knows about both of them.
Scott knows about both of them. And then, as we would learn in a bit, Jason also knows about both. Mm-hmm. But okay. Ty doesn't know about Jason's.
Right. Okay. So basically, so those are the two tribes at the beginning. Like we said before, merge time, it's day 17. Everyone's like drained, exhausted. Then the merge happens. They're all excited. Aubrey feels a lot better. She's super relieved because now, the brains were kind of like diminishing. And now she's like, hey, I'm a free agent.
Yeah, she was a target. Because, they would have been voted out if they stayed together. So now she's fine. She's good to go.
But then we find out later on that Aubrey still has a target on her back.
Yeah, we find out she's not good to go.
Right, she's not good to go. So as the merge happens, we see that we have 4 original beauty, 4 original brain, and 3 brawn. So, it's pretty even as we go.
Yes.
And the brawn tribe, although they have less numbers, it seems like,
it looks like they are in charge.
They're very confident.
Very confident.
In charge.
In front of the pack kind of deal.
Right. But it seems like, we have the beauty, but Ty doesn't really want to go with the beauty. Ty wants to stay with Scott.
Well,
isn't that kind of...
Well, he's the monkey to Scott's tree trunk.
Yeah, but like...
Well, Scott is the tree trunk's what I mean. He climbs on the whole time. So they've got this bromance going on.
Right.
And you see that as well because... that's weird what I just said. But anyway. You see that when Debbie's like grrr to Nick and then Jason says grrr, like to Ty that's stealing Scott from him kind of deal. So...
But like... Doesn't he want to stay? I don't know. I guess if he's with the Brawn, he's fine anyways, but you would think you'd maybe want to stay with his original.
Look, I think it immediately, the brains are so relieved to be back together.
Right.
The Brawns are so relieved to be back together. And when you get to the beauties, everybody's talking to this and that piece. And I don't think
Nick,
they
Michelle.
Yeah.
We didn't see very much from Julia today at all.
At all, except in the challenge. But no, so I think they all, I feel like free agents.
Yeah. Anyway, so with everybody, though, we have, it seems like what we have is a great dynamic here because everyone's excited. They're all kind of like around having a feast, which they've needed. And it seems like it's great. But then, Nick's kind of predicting that the brains won't want to work with Brawn and that the brains are going to want to go with Beauty. But, what really are we seeing? This is just so many.
Well, the beginning,
things.
I feel like they edit this episode to make it as confusing as possible because that's the feeling that they want you guys to get when we watch this. This is just, they want you to feel there's so much going on and that's what's happening. So in actuality, the fact is you've got the brains which is sticking together, you've got the brawns that's sticking together, and everybody's fighting over the beauties.
So basically, Nick's saying that, he's telling both sides that he's going to go with them, but he does not want to, he wants to keep his options open. He doesn't want to close anything off. But then he starts talking to Jason and Scott.
Yes.
For the bronze.
And he's much more confident speaking to them.
He's much more confident. And he, Scott tells him about Ty's idol and says, the only reason I told you guys is because I know that we're tight. I'm like, since when are you and Nick tight?
You guys just merged.
So basically you're telling, you would just tell this to anybody? Because I understand you telling Jason because you and Jason have been like in a bromance this entire time. But like all of a sudden like, I'm just going to tell you, Nick, because I know we're tight. Like you're not tight. And Nick's planning your guys' demise, basically.
They definitely gave it away right there. Nick is like, thank you so much for just letting me into your alliance and telling me all this information that I can use now to win the game.
He said like, they're going to have a blind side.
That's great. I love it. I must say, I'm a little bit disappointed in myself that Nick is winning me over.
Nick is winning you over.
Nick is winning me over,
yeah.
especially after the immunity challenge and like the comments that he made. And like, I just feels like he's playing his game. If I was there, I want to be on his side now.
Yeah, I mean,
and
that's true.
I'm so mad at myself.
He is pretty cocky, but he is also he's playing the game. I mean, he's kind of like up there right now.
I feel like if you look at his tweets once again, we're not going to that again, but he makes himself out like kind of dumb, making like stupid comments and all that. But I think he's very intelligent.
Sure. Yeah. I definitely think he's intelligent. And he's pretty good looking.
Yeah.
But, so moving away from Nick a little bit, we get into the Debbie scenario, the Debbie situation. Everything's going on with Debbie. She's the center of attention. And we were talking a little bit like, as Debbie goes on, like, she's kind of winning me over. Like, I do actually like Debbie, but then she is being very aggressive with people. And that's turning everybody else on the tribe off. So, like, we see her interaction with Ty. She basically says, so do you have an alliance? He goes, well, I'm going to like keep my options open. She's like, no, you just entered into an alliance. This is it. You're with us. And Ty's like, okay.
This is all he says is okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like, she's very aggressive. I think that she's taking a little too much control. I mean, as everybody else is saying, and she's turning people off. And Aubrey's saying that, this is not showing that we're confident. This is showing desperation.
Desperation is exactly what it is. Now, in the previous episodes, Debbie was playing the same kind of deal, same game, but she pulled it off. This time, though, she is doing exactly that. She's going way too hard at it.
So,
she's putting way too much attention to herself. She's like, it's someone trying to set their own plane on fire, trying to go down.
I feel like she was always very intense, though.
But now you've got all these new people in the tribes. You don't just have the brains that you merge on the beach with, and like everybody knows each other.
Right.
So you're alienating immediately. Nick is like she needs to calm down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's turning everybody else off. Oh, sorry, I'm trying to get the live chat up, you guys. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about Debbie. I think that she's gonna do well for a while, but then she might fall off the cliff a little.
Well, Gisela said an interesting thing here. She said, I think it's a bad idea to drink on Survivor, which is true, because if they drink wine, they don't eat a lot. You can drunk fast. So your tongue starts slipping, in more the ways than one, maybe, you never know.
Start saying some bad things. Yeah, so they were drinking wine?
Yeah,
is that what it was?
Wine,
okay.
Yeah,
I know that she said, like, oh, I'm getting a little drunk. But
yeah, they were at the picnic.
Okay. So. All right. So we kind of see that everybody's kind of trying to go after Aubrey here. And it's not that they want to go after Aubrey, because everybody likes Aubrey. It's just the fact that they know that Neil has an idol now.
Yes.
And they're like, well, they're never going to see this coming. They would think that we would either vote out Neil or vote out Joe, but nobody would ever see Aubrey coming. So we're going to vote for her.
But they're going to split the votes. They want it to be even, so they can flush out the idol. That's the whole point. That's why they want to do that. And then afterwards, they can vote whichever way they want, depending who plays the idol.
Right. Okay. And then, we also kind of see that Michelle says that Brawn is too controlling too. So it seems like it's just off between a lot of people right now. Like, Michelle thinks Brawn is too controlling, but Nick wants to work with them. But then he kind of tells Michelle that maybe they shouldn't. It's just a huge mess. I mean, let us know what you guys thought about.
Definitely, yeah.
What's going on, because
please help us out.
Yeah, I mean, just from the beginning, I was just a little disappointed, and now I just feel, it's very confusing what was going on. It was just all chit chat, all talk. So I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say about it.
So in the end, basically we see that the guys, the beauties, and by that I mean, you have to remember that Julia and Ty, which is now beauty as well, because we say beauties the whole time, but it's not really beauties. Yeah. Julia and Ty, like I say, Julia owes them.
Owes it to the Brawn.
Owes it to the Brawn.
Because Scott saved her.
Ty and Scott's a bromance. So they're already there. So they're already 5. They only need one person.
Right.
All right. So it's just a swing between Nick and Michelle. And that's why the brains are fighting for Nick and Michelle, because they know about the other two. And the other two also just fighting for Nick and Michelle.
So it's all a fight for them.
For those two, in the end. Is what it comes down to, basically.
That's what I want. I should, just two people, like the two tribes fighting over me. They're in great spot.
That's what Nick says in the end. Like, it's fun to be,
yeah,
in that position.
The pretty girl.
The pretty girl.
Nick's saying also, like, I don't want anybody to have more power over me. So we kind of see, Nick's side coming out. And what also I found a little strange was, I mean, it's not strange, but so talking about Neil's idol and like, the whole thing about how they want to send Neil home or Aubrey home. So, cause they won't see it coming. Aubrey just like, they're sitting on the beach and she's talking to Neil a little bit. And she's like, do you have an idol? Like out of nowhere. And he's like, yeah, you're the first person I told. Like, where did she get that idea even that he had an idol?
Well, she's grasping at any options that she can. I feel like at this point, she's just trying to,
yeah,
because she knows their asses are on the line. 100%. Because Debbie is messing up everything for the Brains at this point.
Sure. Yeah.
She's just shooting planes down.
So she's trying to do anything. And Aubrey did say, like, now I feel, this is Survivor. He has an idol. I felt I was at the bottom, and now I know that we can do something with this. Little does she know that everybody wants to vote her out.
Exactly.
All right. So then we get into our immunity challenge, which was the only challenge today, right?
Yes.
That was the only challenge.
Only challenge today.
So, right away, they kind of like foreshadow the whole injury situation. They're like, oh, we hear that everybody's really banged up over here. Like, let's see what's going on. Neil shows them some gross stuff. Aubrey.
Gross stuff.
Oh, Scott. Disgusting.
Goodness.
We'll get into that later. But so basically, they started off with that. So noted. So this is the first individual immunity because everything else has been teams. And basically, it seems like all the individual immunities have something to do with balancing a ball and having the time go by and having regular intervals added to it. So same thing. They have a disc on their hands and they have to balance one ball on it for 5 minutes, 2 balls on it for 5 minutes, and then 3 balls for as long as it possibly takes, which could be hours for all we know. So right away, we see Joe and Scott struggling, and Joe falls in like 2 seconds, and I've just felt bad for him. But he's old; he can't balance. It's not his fault.
Whatever.
If Joe was like 25, he would win that challenge in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
So Joe's first, Debbie's second. Scott's really struggling at first, and then those are only 2 people for the first interval, and then we see a bunch of other people going down. Jeff has some great comments in here.
Balls left, balls right.
Hitting your balls together is never good. Balls are banging everywhere. Like, okay, thanks, Jeff. Thanks for that. And then we see it's between, I thought Julie was going to win, first of all.
Yes, she was super concentrated.
Super concentrated. I was like, wow, she can actually pull this off. I was really proud of her. But then, unfortunately, it was the end for her. And then it was between Nick and Ty. And then Nick wins.
Nick wins. It's funny just to mention real quick how they place their feet on the little poles. I think it's some strategy.
Sure. Oh, yeah, because the way that Julie was positioning her feet, it was like completely to the side, which is what I would have done.
Parallel to the beam.
And some people are just like trying to like put their middle of the foot.
Because then they have to balance themselves on the beam and they have to balance the balls. I think it throws you off. So. And
also, can we just note how sweet Ty was after Nick won? He's like, good job, Nick. And just his voice is just so sweet. I think that's just what gets me. I just love Ty, okay?
Ty's all right. He's good. I like him.
He's a good guy.
He's a good guy.
So, where do we even go from here? So basically we get back.
Yeah, so they've got the immunity challenge. One thing I think we just forgot to bring up real quick that we deserve the discussion here is as soon as, back in Dara is the tribe's name, Scott and Jason are talking to Nick, and then they say, this is us, bro. It's us 3, not even Sydney. So immediately, now, how true do you think that is?
That's a good point. That's a really good point. So you're saying, why is it like...
Well, I have a few things. First of all, would they really throw Sydney under the bus? They were so happy to reunite the 3. Okay?
Or are they just telling...
They're just playing him.
Sure.
Is that my first question? And then, I know, that's basically the big one I want to know the answer first.
I don't think they're playing Nick necessarily. I just feel like they're trying to do anything to get Nick into their alliance. I don't think that they're trying to, like, throw Sydney away. I think that they still want Sydney on their side because they know that she's valuable.
Yeah, but that bites her in the ass because that's as soon as Final 3 comes, she's the 4th one to leave. Sorry.
But I don't believe that. I feel like...
But then they're playing him.
Then they're playing him, yeah. Okay. I would think so. Because I don't know how they would pick Nick over Sydney after all this time.
But that's exactly my point. It's so immediate. So suddenly, no, he hasn't got an idol or anything. It's just...
Yeah. Isn't Nick like, what's going on? What about
Sydney?
And
they told him about the idol. They told him all these things. For some reason, Scott and Jason are they're just trusting this guy, letting him in, open arms. Yes, all the info. You're part of our alliance. No Sydney, nothing. Just us. It's us 3, bro. That's what he said. So I'm disappointed and confused a little bit, to be honest.
At this point, Sydney doesn't even know that Ty has an idol.
Mm-mm.
But Nick does because Scott told him, but he didn't tell Sydney.
He didn't tell Sydney.
Okay. Yeah, that's really strange. So he's kind of just throwing all his eggs in one basket with Nick.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm a little confused. So I don't know if they want to start something new. But obviously in the previews we see for the next episode, we see Jason and Sydney going at it. So hopefully something comes to light, something comes out. And that should be some good fireworks.
That puts questions in my mind now.
So Andrew's asking Jaco, do you think they would take Nick over Ty? Or Jaco, do you think they take Nick or Ty over Sydney? And that's what we just discussed. So I would think, I think in the end, I think that it's going to be bros to the end.
Really? You think that they're going to go over?
I do think they would go over Sydney. Because yes, they were there and they tried together, but in the end, it comes down to $1 million. So if they can blindside Sydney, make sure that Jason and Scott in the final two, and then take someone else with them, if it be a tie. But then once again, you have to remember, Paige and guys at home, Andrew, it's asking me the question: if you take Ty to the final three,
he's going to win.
You're not going to win, my friend.
That's true. So Ty, yeah, I mean, if you take Ty to the end,
if you take Sydney to the final three, you're still not going to win, my friend. But if you take Nick to the final three, if you take Nick to the
I was just about to question you on that.
There you go.
I was just about to pick apart your logic on that. Like, why would they take Scott or why would they take Nick over Sydney? But that makes complete sense.
Thank you, Andrew, for the nice, beautiful question, my friend.
Damn, you guys.
Yeah, so that's how deep this goes.
So yeah, I feel like if Sydney or Ty make it, they're for sure winners. But it's the fact if they're going to get there or not. I don't know if Ty has the potential to get to the final three. I think Sydney has the potential to get there.
I think so too. But be careful. I mean, the only reason why I think Ty would be voted out is because someone knows that if I go up against this guy, in the end, I will lose. So there you have it.
There you have it. Oh my gosh. Okay. Okay, so going back a little bit more before we get to the end about, the alliances that's going on. So Michelle's kind of in the water with Debbie and Aubrey. And again, we see Debbie taking the lead, Aubrey kind of sitting back, and Michelle is saying, hey, nobody even approached me.
Yeah.
So I'm open right now. I'm cool to do whatever. And Debbie just says, all right, let's make it happen. So as we mentioned before, this is the same thing we see. Everyone wants Nick and Michelle. Michelle kind of says that she has to assess the relationship. She's not sure what's going to happen. But then we see Nick and Michelle have this little conversation, and they agree to go with the Brawn.
Yes.
So they agree to go with the Brawn because they think that they can take them far. They
think in this episode, Paige, I think they decided that's going to be the best thing because brains are falling apart. It fell apart last week when Aubrey voted against her own teammate. It's falling apart now with Debbie being a psychopath. So who wants to align with that? Real quick here, you've got a question here from Sheena 123. Paige, do you think Michelle and Julia can win this game?
I think Michelle has a better chance to win than Julia.
Yeah.
Why? I just feel like she's had, and maybe this is just an edit situation, but I just feel like she's gotten, she can play the game better, whereas she can make more relationships. I haven't really seen Julia try to do this yet.
Yeah, it's life experience, exactly what Julia said when she was alone on that beach. It's life experience. So
Julia's what 19?
Yeah, she's fresh.
She's
in college.
young. How old is Michelle? Do we know? I had it written on my other paper.
I do. Let me tell you, she's 24.
She's 24. Okay.
24. Yeah. Bartender.
That's a big, a 5-year difference. That I just feel like Michelle's got a little more experience under her belt, and she's better at forging relationships. So I don't know. I don't know. But so they go with the Brawn. Nick. Oh, also Nick says this. He says, in the end, I believe that I can manipulate the Brawn more and do puzzles better than the Brawn in the end.
I must say, in the end, this is what that won me over. I remember the exact second when he said that, that won me over. Do you think that him saying that is kind of, once again, arrogant from him?
What won you over? Him saying that he can do puzzles better?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Actually, the pretty girl comment won me over because he's like, I'm the pretty girl. I get to decide here between Brawn and Brawn. I get to decide if I'm going to go home with the quarterback or the valedictorian. So it's great for me, and I like that. Like, I do think he's cocky, but I think overall he's a good
playful,
guy.
which I like, and
he's playful.
It's definitely the comedic relief.
Right.
But you have to think about it. This guy, okay, so he won the challenge today. He almost won Scott in the basketball. Which the NBA player and all that. He's really good at the swim, the run. He's good at the puzzles. Didn't he win the one puzzle as well, I think, with someone? Maybe not. I don't know. But the point is, when he said that, I'm better than puzzle, I will be able to manipulate him. I believed him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I believe him.
And
he won me over. You got it, man. You got it.
It's true. And like, kind of going back to like the tweets that you read of his and like how we do think he's cocky.
I think he's
doing it in a play. I think that he knows that he's being ridiculous.
He is, like, but he's so ridiculous to put himself out there like that. It's crazy. Right. People are like, what the F, man?
So do you think he's doing it just as like a joke? Like he knows?
He's trying. I think he's the type of guy that tries to say the most appropriate thing or try to freak people out just because he can.
And he thinks it's funny.
And he thinks it's funny, and that's it. And so it's maybe like his sense of humor.
Right.
So go with it. Either like it, think it's funny, or you think he's the biggest douche alive.
You can think either way. I mean, because he has, like, his life is great. Like, he's very good looking. He said that he's never, had problems with, he's very privileged. He's a personal trainer. Like, he's got it going for him. So I could see either way. But I do kind of think that he's just playful, just trying to have a good time,
Well, he's definitely making my episodes happier.
Especially, too, because, he said, I love Aubrey. Like, I think Aubrey's the best person out here. She's the person I would hang out with the most. Aubrey and Nick are completely different. But, like, I think that Nick's a smart guy. Like, he obviously likes Aubrey. He thinks that they would get along good. But he's like, hey, sorry, I have to vote you out tonight. But I would want to hang out with you most over everybody else on this island, which is it just wouldn't be expected for me. It's unexpected. So now we got our little, Nick rant out of the way. We do like you, Nick. Nick. All right, so now we move into the end, which is like the...
Pre-tribal.
Pre-tribal. Should be pre-tribal.
Yeah.
So it's kind of in the bag that Aubrey's going home, but then the doctors come to them, and everybody's kind of going, uh-oh, what did we do to get a house visit? I didn't even know you guys did this. So they kind of go through the injuries that we mentioned earlier for each player. So we see Ty first. He's healing nicely. It's all clear. You're good to play the game. Scott's is pretty infected, but, we're going to keep an eye on it.
Keep an eye on it. It's not going to be too bad right now.
Not going to be too bad. Aubrey, however, he said we can do two things. We can either do antibiotics or we can completely lance it, cut it
Lance
open.
it. Why didn't we lance it? Oh,
Jaco
my God.
He was rooting for it. He's like, come on.
Just stick the needle in there. We want to see the pus.
That would be so disgusting. I would hope they wouldn't show that.
Oh, I wish they showed that.
I know. I kind of do too. Have you ever seen the pimple popper, Instagram lady?
No, I haven't.
Oh my God! If you guys haven't seen it, it's disgusting. But it's kind of like what we saw tonight, where they'll like
you can't look away. You're like,
it's repulsive.
Can't look away.
Yeah, that would have been what we saw with Aubrey tonight. But so they can say that they do either, and they kind of go with as Jeff says, the more traditional route of antibiotics.
Can we just talk about before we get to the main thing? Yeah. Just Jeff's face. And every single one, Scott, Aubrey, Ty's like,
God.
oh wow.
Jeff was disgusted. He was like, oh my God. He couldn't even take it.
Each one is, oh wow.
Oh wow. There was one time.
When Neil turns around, it's like, oh wow.
Oh wow. I thought that they like replayed his oh wow like 3 different times. I'm like, come on. But then I realized he's just really saying it that many times. So we go from Aubrey, and then we go to poor Neil, right? So we see his knee. It looks very infected because he said that he popped it earlier, or like the pus came out earlier. It opened up. But he goes, hey, this isn't even the worst thing. You should check out my back. Which it was the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. But it was like black in the middle, and it looked real bad.
I think it just looked really bad.
Yeah.
Like the doctor said, I think it's just maybe dried blood that's making it black.
Sure.
But the doctor even said, so the infection, the sore there is just in the skin. It's not in the, in the muscle.
Right. Whereas Aubrey's was different because when he grabbed her leg, it was complete. It was like
it's hard.
Right.
Underneath.
But Neil's was just on the skin, and Neil's like, hey, this doesn't even hurt.
This is a very gross conversation, Paige.
It's disgusting. And then so gross. Okay, enough. But then he goes, hey, this is okay. It's not life threatening. And we already see Neil, trying to talk his way out of this. Hey, I feel great. It's okay. I can make it. And then he goes, we got to get back to this knee situation. So he looks in it, and they're kind of having this conversation about, this is going to affect your joints.
Yeah.
I mean,
he said is that if an infection can destroy your inner joint within hours. Mm-hmm. That's scary.
Within hours.
Hours. It's not like if the infection spreads. This isn't days or weeks or once you get off the game or something. Maybe it's hours. So
I just wish we could know like what the infection was, like if it was really that life threatening or if it wasn't.
So basically, to break it down here for the audience back home, I think not a medical expert here by any means, but I have done a CPR course once.
Oh, look at that.
So no. It's just a normal cuts, normal things that just gets infected, or maybe even just the ingrown hair or something. It looks like small sores, but obviously with the temperature not being cleaned, being dirty the whole time, this thing just becomes a huge pimple. Take a shower or anything. Yeah, it just becomes a huge pimple. So I feel like maybe it's a bite from some kind of small sand ants or whatever it is. So that's where the things comes from. It's not like they were stabbed with knives or anything.
It just sucks. Like I want to know if it was really that threatening or not.
Well, this is what my question is. If Aubrey gets to go on the antibiotics, why doesn't Neil get to go on the antibiotics?
Exactly. So Aubrey's was what, under her leg? So I mean, I guess there's more.
In the thigh.
There's more fat in that area that it wouldn't get to your bone.
Well, that's closer to your muchachi, so what that's even more dangerous than your knee.
Yeah, I mean,
you have to think about the long-term things here, Aubrey.
Aubrey, come on. But yeah, whereas Neil's was right in his knee, which would, I guess, go right to the joint.
Right to the joint, yeah.
It just, I just don't know if it was necessary. And I'm not a medical expert either. Did take a CPR class once as well, but it just sucks. I just thought it was kind of BS. But, I mean, realistically, better safe than sorry.
Yes.
Although I'm very sad for Neil.
I'm very sad for Neil. Sad to see him go. He was a really calm demeanor. I think eventually he would have been voted out. I do think the brains are going to be taken out one by one. And he would have been close because everybody knows he's got an idol, so he would have been a target.
Right.
So his game would have ended, unfortunately, but I really liked him.
I know. It's just, I wonder if, it's just very suspicious, that they did the whole medical thing and then brought them all over. I feel like it could have been okay. They were just trying to create some drama.
Maybe. I agree with you. I just don't understand why he couldn't get antibiotics.
Exactly.
So,
yep. But at least he gets to come back for the jury. That's great.
Yes, he gets to stay there. He still gets paid probably every day because he gets to stay on the island.
Yeah.
Now he gets to shower.
Right, yeah.
And eat nice food.
So he'll be good. He'll be good. We're happy for you, Neil. Before we wrap up, can I just shout out to Aubrey's Oregon Trail reference right there? Does anybody else get that? Any 90s kids? No?
What's happening?
The Oregon Trails reference.
Oh, I didn't get that.
It was a game. It was like a computer.
I'm not even from America, so that probably didn't even play in South Africa. So.
Hey, if you guys, anybody on the live chat, let me know what you think, if you remember this. I mean, some people got to remember this. Oregon Trails was the best computer game.
It's a computer game?
Yes.
Okay,
it was in the 90s, in elementary school, we would play this. If you got to play Oregon Trail, you got to get out of class for a little bit. It was great. And she was like, some people just get dysentery and die. And I remember the people just dying, and it was so stressful. So, anyways, wait, I'm trying to see. Eric, he said I do. So does that mean that you remember Oregon Trails? I hope you guys do. But anyways, awesome. Great reference, Aubrey.
Speaking about Aubrey, are we at the end of the thing?
At the end
of him leaving?
Oh, the idol?
Yeah, idol. Yeah, I just wanted to mention that quickly with Aubrey just saying, come on, man. Just,
So this is what I'm wondering is, obviously Neil couldn't have just whipped out the idol and given her to Aubrey in front of everybody. But what I'm wondering is there any way that he could be like, hey, Jeff, can I give this to somebody on the island? And then Jeff might give it to them secretly? Because what good is the idol going to do? Or maybe, maybe they just... He'll just keep it, that's it, and they'll just plant a new one.
Maybe toss it to her when he's at the jury. He's like, hey, here you go.
Here you go. Yeah.
But no, what my point of view of that whole situation is, you ride or you die. Mm-hmm. It's $1 million. Mm-hmm. So you either run up to him and say, hey, can I have the idol, please? Or you stand there and then bite your lip and be like, okay, he's leaving with the idol's leaving.
So you would
do
that in front of everybody?
Well, you can either say, hey, can I have your idol you found?
In front of everybody?
You can. Or once he's almost in the boat, like, hey, let me give you one last hug goodbye. By the way, where's that idol?
But the thing is that people already know that Neil has the idol. So if she went to do that and ran up at the last minute, like it's kind of obvious to the people.
But she would have the idol. So you basically have to decide: is it worth everybody? Like, okay, now she's got an idol. Everybody knows it, you know, or is it worth it actually having the idol? What beats what?
I just wish that he could somehow give the idol to Jeff or somebody, and they could pass it along. Because why not? Damn.
Maybe we'll see. They spend a lot of time on it, so maybe it comes back in a way that Jeff gives it to someone. I think it's out of the game because when you get voted out of the idol's out.
Yeah, and you step off the island, you're done. So they're gonna have to plant another one. Oh man.
Or maybe this is two left. There's only the super idol. You never know. We'll see. We'll see in upcoming episodes.
That's true. All right. Well, that was Survivor. That was Survivor 32, episode 7. Merge time. What was it? It's merge time.
It's merge time.
Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. We always appreciate it. Make sure you go on our YouTube, give us a like, thumbs up, comment, let us know how we're doing. We didn't get into predictions yet. Okay, really quick. What are we going to do for predictions before I end?
Predictions. I'm gonna go.
AfterBuzz TV.
Thank you.
Sorry about that, everybody.
Sorry. Are we still on? We're live. Can we go?
Can we go?
So we still Okay.
All right. What is your prediction?
Predictions. Knock the brains out one by one, but then we see Sydney and Jason fighting. I think stuff is going to turn up. All these little groups that you guys think is so tight, the brains, the beauty, whatever that might be, it's going to break up. People are going to start fighting for themselves. I see it coming right now. And I can see Sydney, the smart girl that she is, ain't going to take no nonsense from Jason kicking her out of their threesome with
Jason.
Scott.
Yeah, there's no way. Sydney's about to, something's going to happen with Sydney. And I hope we can get Sydney on the show at some point because she's just great and I want to talk to her. Yeah, I don't know what my prediction is. I would say something with Sydney for sure. They're going to have a falling out, I think. Or it could just be a tease. It could just be a little tease, and then they're like, "Hey, we're still together. You're like my brother. We get in a little fight. We're fine." But we saw the foreshadowing thing with Nick, so I really don't know. It's hard for me to predict these things.
Well, I'm excited to see what's going to happen in the next community challenge. Who's going to start pulling out from the front? Who's the physical element in this tribe? It's exciting times.
I feel like Joe might be coming to the end of his.
Joe is not. I wish we got more from him at this point.
I love Joe. Yeah,
everybody loves him because he's a 70-year-old adorable man, 71-year-old. But he needs to start, getting people. Playing the game exactly.
Right. Well, we'll see what happens to Aubrey next week. I don't think, since she was gonna go home this week almost, I don't think that she's gonna be on the chopping block again next week because we see how much it changes every week. So we shall see. But anyways, back to what I was saying before. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We love having you. Let us know how we're doing. Tweet at us, whatever, wherever you can get to us. I'm your host. I'm Paige Bonanno. You guys can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Paige Bonanno. And where can they find you?
Thank you, Paige. My name is Jaco Vienings. You guys can find me all over Twitter and social media at Jaco Vienings, JACOVIENINGS.
Thanks for joining us, you guys. See you next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Bye. See you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.